says in his question, what are your thoughts regarding hijrah from Western countries to Muslim ones? Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar, may Allah have mercy on him, the explainer of Sahih al-Bukhari, in his marvelous book which is known as Fath al-Bari, explained the different types of hijrah, and he said that the hijrah may be wajibah, may be recommended, may be permissible, and a person may be exempt from performing hijrah due to the following reasons. So number one, the hijrah becomes a must if a person accepted Islam في دار الكفر, in a non-Muslim country, and he is oppressed, he cannot observe his ibadat and religious duties properly and freely. He cannot pray, he cannot read the Quran, he cannot attend Friday prayers, and he has to eat pork, he has to do this and that because he is not free to practice his religious duties. Then the hijrah in this case is a wajibah. Unlike what some people think, because they read a fake athar, they call it hadith, which is not, when they said that there is no hijrah anymore. No, they misunderstood that. The hijrah will continue until the Day of Judgment. If a person happened to be في دار الكفر, in a non-Muslim locality, and he accepted Islam, and he cannot observe his ibadat, then they must make hijrah, provided they are capable. What if they can offer their ibadat properly, and they can furthermore give da'wah and so on? The hijrah in this condition becomes recommended. Why? Because moving to a Muslim land, hearing the adhan, living amongst Muslims strengthen your iman, keeps you steadfast on the straight path, and also in order to acquire the proper religious knowledge, so that you can resume later on giving da'wah in your country. And if a person is oppressed based on his or account of his religion, he cannot offer his religious duties properly, he accepted Islam, but meanwhile he's either sick or cannot perform hijrah for a reason or another, legitimate reasons, then it is permissible for him to stay where he is. So beautiful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. My personal observation, whenever many people accepted Islam in America, where I used to live for a long period of time, so some of them traveled to the East, to the Middle East. They lived amongst Muslims, they learned the Quran, some have finished memorizing the whole Quran, they learned the Sunnah, they learned the proper Aqidah, and they have acquired enough religious knowledge that will enable them to return back to give da'wah and carry the banner of Islam. That's highly recommended. Exactly as Ibn Hajar, may Allah have mercy on him, said, it becomes recommended. Because we know that if any person accepted Islam in America and most European countries, they're free to practice their deen, to attend the salah in the masajid, to eat halal meat if they want to, and so on. This question was asked very frequently pertaining the different schools of thoughts, the madhahib, al-madhahib al-fiqhiyya. And now it is repeated again by Farhan after. How do we know that? What school of thought should we follow? And how do we know which scholars are credible and which are not? Again, the four schools of thoughts, Al-Imam Abu Hanifa al-Nu'man and his school, the Hanafi school, Al-Imam Malik ibn Anas and his school, the Maliki school, Al-Imam al-Shafi'i, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i and his school, Fiqh school, which is known as al-Shafi'i or al-Shafi'iyya, and Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and his school, which is known as the Hanbali school of thought, Sufyan al-Thawri, Yahya ibn Ma'in, Al-Imam al-Bukhari, Al-Hasan al-Basri, and many others. Not only these are the most famous four, but there are many other scholars of fiqh. They were all mujtahideen. Al-ijtihad in fiqh is to exert the effort in order to conclude the ruling for a mas'ala which does not have a straightforward answer in the Quran or in the Sunnah. So they make ijtihad to conclude the dalil from similar masail by analogy or by exerting the effort through various rules of jurisprudence in order to come up with the answer or with the hukm, the ruling, that if the mas'ala does not have a dalil, or if it has a dalil contradicted by another dalil, or if it has a dalil which may be understood differently. So that's why they're called mujtahidun. They were qualified, they were true scholars. So these scholars are all the scholars of the mainstream of the ummah, of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Please, for some people who think that they are deviant sects or different sects that the Prophet ﷺ warned against, that is not true. So if somebody decided to follow a particular school of thought, that is permissible. If he is not a scholar himself and cannot conclude the dalil or the hukm, if he is, then it is his responsibility to study the different opinions and choose the one which is supported by the sound and profound proof. It wouldn't be sufficient to say, I'm following a Maliki madhab, that's why I don't put my hands on my chest in the prayer. Well, we have various ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ used to do this. So I'm not going to follow any other opinion, and so on and so forth. These scholars have made it very clear when they said, إن صح الحديث فهو مذهبي. If the reference which I've used as a dalil, a hadith for instance, is proven to be sound, then this is my madhab. If not, then ignore it. We are all seekers of the truth. Is it mandatory for a person to choose a particular school of thought to follow? No, it is not. Laymen, it will be sufficient for them to seek the answer for their questions from their local imam and knowledgeable people, and which imam is knowledgeable and which person is credible that we should take our knowledge from. Number one, today the world has become a small village. So the reputation of each scholars here or there is very well known, whether this person of Ahlul Sunnah al Jama'ah or not. The fatwa committees, whether here or there, the credible ones, the permanent fatwa committee in Mecca, various websites, Islam Web, Islam Q&A, these are credible resources to ask questions and to get the proper answer, even in the different, according to different schools of thoughts. Then whatever suits you, you can take it. But to say, I am sticking to one madhab, regardless whether there is a more correct view or a better view or not, that is not our way. Because every Muslim is a follower of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, including those imams. And how often Imam al-Shafi'i changed his opinion, to the extent that he has two versions of fiqh. We say al-Shafi'i fil qadim, al-Shafi'i fil jadid, in the old opinion, in the new opinion. And then Imam Abu Hanifa likewise. Sometimes he would give a fatwa and his own students would oppose him in the fatwa. And sometimes he would yield if he found the reference with them is stronger. Because all of them, and hopefully us, are simply seekers for the truth and the proper knowledge.